The installation of this Mosaic project. So, first of all, not many photos to show, the parts where the parts was laying, where I laid the tiles. Why? Because I was making the installation, so I couldn't make enough photos, during the installation because I wasn't stressed, and that's why it's not easy to make photos in the same time. Okay, the installation. So first of all, I've used a laser. That laser is important, especially when you need some free space, which is surrounding your mosaics. Then you will start, somewhere in the middle, and you definitely want to have a straight and, the right dimensions here. That's why you definitely have to use a laser to find the starting point. Okay, so the laser is right here. Okay, let me show you this way. Hold on a second. Okay, here we go. So that's the laser, and it is creating this super cool lines, perfectly. Here you see some painter plastic, and that was that mortar that I've used to stick to adhere that huge mosaic pieces, on a wall. Same in here, laser right here. Okay, this is the only way to really successfully getting so many pieces, one piece and another piece over there. Each are like 70 centimeters by 60 or something like that. And if you don't use any laser, you will definitely, mess up, definitely. That's why the laser thing is important. Here you can see that white mortar, there is no water. It has no water inside. That's why. I don't know what kind of a wall this is. So you can see it in here. Okay. What else? Laser and stuff. Yeah. It looks nice, but the photo quality is terrible. From another angle. Okay. It looks almost perfect. Without a laser, it will be impossible. Okay. I will talk about this in a few minutes. The final view looked like this. This seats here, I guess how much was one of these? It was quite expensive, so I had to, because I was making the installation as well, and I had to push them around and stuff. A lot of physically work demands this kind of installation when you don't have someone to help you. And at that time I was doing everything by myself. And here are some, can you see that? Something blending. I believe this wall has been repainted again, because I told them it's possible that, it's even really clean at work, that you don't see any white mortar and stuff, but we see some in here. I believe I moved them or something happened, I don't know. So it's possible that you will need once again a paint work here and on the sides, and this was the final look. I wish I had made a better photo with a good better device, not just with a phone. Anyway, this was about the installation. So the laser is quite important. By the way, because of this glass mosaics, that stuff is really not that heavy as, you know, like ceramic mosaic tiles. It's very light, you know, it's not heavy. That's a good point. So we have a new section, you know, which is the challenge. Did we have any challenge at that time? So what I'm going up to is we had the location, marketing, design, workshop, installation, finance, balance. Mistakes has been made over there. Footage, no, that's not, has nothing to do with. But we have a new section, which is the challenge. I believe it's also important to talk about that. Well, the challenge in here on that project was definitely, this is already a place, a space in use. Okay, means, you know, you have to work very, very carefully and clean. Okay, what I'm going up to is after you leave the place, it must be clean and, you know, that stuff. You have to be careful. You know, you can't just move like on a construction area, like, you know, smoking and stuff. You can't do that. You need to be careful with the mortar that you have. You don't want to have some of this ceramic tiles or on a seat somehow. You need clean hands, you know, to move stuff around and stuff. So this was a challenge. It was a space in use already, and that is quite important. You know, the next day people will come and, you know, VIP customers will go around here in this stage and stuff. So that was the challenge. It's not a big challenge, but you have to be careful. Let's look at the finance and balance about this project. So here I have another, you know, bad quality photo. Okay, so on this paper we have the design, you know, the proportion, this is the right word, and then we're going to show how we're going to place it. This is not the original size, by the way, of the wall. If you remember, we have a door in here and door in there. So it's at design 1 this time, not D6. I don't know why. So the size has changed from 200 to 300. I really don't know why. I don't remember actually, really. So it says 6 square meter. The price was somewhere over here. Can't see it right now. It said this is in Turkish language, and it said VAT is not included. Okay, VAT is this government stuff that you're gonna pay after you received some money from these guys. If you don't know about it, it's important. And then it said this letters here means I will take 50% before I do, you know, anything. But I already give them the design, which is some stupid behavior from me. So I should take the 50% first and then show them the design. But then you have the issue that people are not ready to pay because they don't know what they will get, if you know what I mean. Anyway, I had time, I made the design, and then I came up with this 50% I will take of the whole amount. And then, this is quite interesting, I will take another 25% when the mosaic is done at the workshop, if you know what I mean. You know, mosaic commissions and mosaic work projects, mosaic art project has 2 steps. The first step is the workshop process. The second step is the installation process for a project like similar like this, like that one. We have also the thing that there are 2 type of mosaic art projects. Some of them will create it in the workshop and will, you know, adhere it on a wood panel, and the client will gonna take all the stuff from your workshop and will pay you over there. And then we have this kind of a project where you first create the whole thing in your workshop and then you have to drive, transport all this stuff to another location to install it. And this is one of that kind of a project. So to make sure that to sure I have the 75%, before I finished everything, that's why I started to put, I will take another 25% when the work in the workshop is done. Means before the installation. Okay? So when the client gave you 50%, and then you start to buy your glass mosaics, you pay if you have someone is helping you in the studio, you're going to pay him or her, and then you have to buy, not buy, but sure, you have to buy mosaic mesh and adhesives and stuff, maybe boxes for the transportation, you have to pay for the transportation and stuff. And this is why the 50% is for. The 50% is also for make sure that the client will not change his mind the next day. Okay? So then you have the 25%, which is also good because it's good for you. You guarantee your money almost. 75% is good. So the client is also satisfied because he or she saw pictures from your workshop that the mosaic is actually done and it's ready for the installation. So, and I said the rest, which is the next 25%, I will take it from you, the balance, when the work is completely done. Which means, in the business way, if the client don't want to pay you, you can forget about your 25%, which is missing. Okay? So, but most of the clients, they pay, but you never know, You just can come up with and say, well, I don't like that shit. So he's not gonna pay. So what we have done here cleverly, what we have done, which is a good idea, you only risk your 25%. You already have the 75%. Time to talk about the mistakes being made on this project. We have the installation, mistakes during the installation part, and mistakes during the workshop. Let's start with the workshop. So, but I will go ahead with this photo. So, hold on. Okay. So, I want you to pay attention to this area here. Can you see that? This area over here. You see this, this looks like a stitch work almost. So why is this so? Same in here. You see, it starts like by 2 centimeters and it ends by 1. So it's not straight, and especially this part here, like a stitch work. So why is this so? I tell you, because of this project it's not a very huge project, but it's kind of 2 by 3 meters, so it's kind of big. Then you have to create things by pieces, as I told you, 1 part, 2nd part, 3rd part, and you can't do the whole thing in one. You can do it, but you have to sit on this stuff here, and it's not dried yet and stuff. So I always prefer to do it like in this way in 2009. And so this thing is done, that is done, but you have this piece over here. So you have to make kind of a stitch work, This here needs to be fill out with white, Same in here, but these are separated pieces. So here we have that problem. I can see it right here. It starts by, let's say, 2, and it gets, the dimensions are changing, and it's getting teeny and teeny, Same in here. Okay. So how are we gonna fix that? I have no clue. I should make a better planning, I believe. That's why we have this. It's acceptable maybe, but it's not actually. It looks terrible. And same in here. Damn. It's not bad, but it's actually at this point not a big deal, because the grout color will be white too. So most of the stuff here will disappear. Not all of them will disappear, but most. Same in here. But imagine you have another grout color, for example black. You never know what the client can change his mind and say, I want to have black. Then you will have like this here, like I even don't know how to call it, like stairs, it will look terrible. So another mistake was what I've seen during the workshop. There was one more thing. Okay, he was talking about the workshop. Well, not much to say about mistakes made during the workshop, but I have a lot of stuff here during the installation. The first one is this. What the hell is that? It's a problem in general when we want to sign our work, especially mosaic work. Then it's a problem. You can't easily sign it. I could actually sign it by using mosaic tiles, because that thing is it's not a small piece, so I could sign it by excuse me, by using mosaic tiles. But I prefer it this way, which is terrible. I'll leave it, empty, and then I found someone who can make this prints on a piece of metal or aluminium, I'm not sure, but it looks so disgusting and terrible. It's terrible. You can see the grout, it's not well cleaned. That's why you have all these things in here. I believe it was almost 2 in the morning when I finished that work. So it's all mistakes, it's a mistake. Okay. And another thing is the grout color. The grout color was, the client the architect decide for the grout color in this project. So this is after the grouting. You see, fill it with white. And this is here before the grouting. It's totally black and cool, it looks like a drawing. But when you put a color like that, then you have all these cuts, looks like, So what we could do in here, black, using black for the black areas. Same in here and in here. And using brown for the brown areas, black again for the black area. I know it's a lot of work. You see this white, how disgusting it looks, when it comes to black tiles. White grout will show all the mistakes that you have done, during the making of your mosaic. It looks here really cool, but when you have that white grout, then it's to show your mistakes which you have made during creating of the mosaic in your workshop.